What's going on, my good people? This your boy Lap Up the Entertainer, here to bring you some action between Southern University and Alcorn State University. This is going to be one of those crucial band battles, man. Look, they're going against Southern. It's going to be interesting, but you can't doubt Alcorn because Alcorn actually has been having a good season, okay? I would say that Alcorn has really been having a good season, so I really don't know what to expect from this battle, to be honest with you. I'm expecting big things from both bands, but we got a lot of footage we got to grade. We got a zero quarter. Yeah. We got a zero quarter, we got halftime footage, and we got fifth quarter footage, okay? So it's a lot to look at. It's a lot to look at. So all I'm asking you, if you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you already subscribed, make sure you hit that like button. That helps boost the algorithm. Even though this is an old video, you know, you liking this video can bring it to the masses in the search bar. Okay, so the more y'all like the video, the better. Alright, so kind of means a lot if y'all do that. Alright, we got a lot to grade. Okay, we do. So I do not know what to expect. So look to the cards next to me so you know we'll be grading for zero quarter. Okay, we're grading sound selection, power, articulation, arrangement, and overall cleanness. Maximum points they can make all together is 45. Okay, in zero quarter, bands use to play spirit songs or stuff that's related to their school. Okay, so fight songs, spirit songs, songs for the football team to come out to. Okay. So if they do play that, they might get docked off just a little bit, not too much. So instead of them getting like a perfect 5, they can get them a 4. Okay, so that kind of plays a big factor. Now if they play something that's with the school and they start missing, then it's going to be a 3. So you kind of get what I'm getting at on that. So all that does make a difference. It really does. So at the end of the day, you know, I'm just calling a spade a spade. So if they play a spirit song, they play a spirit song. I'm expecting them to play something out of their book in zero quarter. Now, this is close to the end of the season, so I'm expecting their stronger stuff. So you kind of get what I'm getting at on that. All right? So with that being said, I did enough rambling. Let's get into the action. Alcorn's first.
Imagine being able.
Okay, let's process what just happened. Okay, I might have not caught the beginning of it. I caught the majority of it. But the fact that they played that against Southern's diabolical. Alright? And they tubas, my gosh. I gotta give them that. That's a good way to start the battle in. That's a good way to start the battle. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That was crucial. That was crucial. Alright. Song selection is 5, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrange is 10, cleanness 10. They got them a 45. What I would say if I was to critique anything, tubas got to watch out. Make sure you still playing your ensemble. You know, a lot of bands get tripped up when they go against a bigger band, especially Southern. That's when they try to outdo each other. So that's one thing to add on that. So you kind of get what I'm getting at. So, with that being said, we're getting into Southern's response. My goodness, tubas, bro. that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh shit. Southern, man. That's all I gotta say, man. Now look. Alright, let me get that a grade. Alright, song selection is a 5, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10, cleanness, I'm gonna give them a 9. Their trombone solo. They were doing good. So they got to that trombone solo. They was doing straight. And then people started missing. You know. They need to tighten up on that run. They needed to tighten up on that run. And so that kind of withhold them on that one. So I got to give that first round to Alcorn. Alright. But damn good arrangement. Crucial. Alrighty. Get a closer, better picture of it. There you go. Alright. So, song selection is a 5, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10, cleanness, I'm going to give them a 9. Alright. High brass. High brass. Y'all did a lot more missing in that one. Okay? A lot more missing in that one. It's like y'all was anytime it came down to a high note, they started missing. And this is my thing too. Just because you know how to play high, does that mean that it sounds good? Alright? And you hanging over too? You didn't do it once, you didn't do it twice, you did about 4 times. And you know, I was thinking that, okay, maybe what else is going to happen? But everybody else kept it in. Everybody else kept it in. It was just the high brass, the trumpets especially. So, that was it. All right, moving on. Almost a perfect.
Let's go, boy.
Sound selection is a 5. Powers 10. Articulations 10. Arrangements 10. Cleanness, I'm gonna give them a 10. Okay. Alright, now I almost didn't give it to them. They wasn't missing the whole entire time. They probably just missed like twice. But that second round, you know, Alcorn missed 4 times versus Southern missing 2 times. So who would I prefer? I'm going with Southern. I'm going with Southern. So for people who in the comment section or for people who feel some type of way, there it is. I'm keeping it 100 with y'all, okay? Yeah, Southern got the best of them on that round, okay? It's a tight battle. Right now, it's even. Remember, I'm grading overall grade, not just by rounds. Okay, Alcorn. Alright, let's get at a grade. Alright, sound selection is 5. Powers 10. Articulations a 9. Arrangement, I'm going to give arrangements 10. Cleanness, I'm going to give them an 8. Okay. Felt like it could have been better. You know, felt like it can be way better. Okay, and I'm going to explain why. Alright, so they were not attacking together as far as those runs. Okay, the runs can be way crispier than that. Not only that, but when it came down to the runs, they were also muddy. Okay, and then that was also spread out throughout different sections, so it was just some muddy parts in there, and then we're not accounting for them missing as well. So they got a 42 on that one. Alright, was not their strongest song of the day. Moving on. that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh my gosh, man. Wow. Look, and they went Super Saiyan. That is crucial. Oh, man. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh shit. Oh man. Alcorn's gonna have to do some serious shaking back. They gonna have to shake back hard in this battle, bruh. Woo-wee. Damn. Yeah, that was crucial. That was crucial. Now, if I was to do a minor critique, it's a minor critique. You know, that run can be just a little bit tighter, but it was okay. It was that was a passable run. That was a passable run. It was not perfect, but it was a passable run. Oh man. Yeah. Woo, Alcorn, you gonna have to come with it. Okay, Alcorn. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if I was to give any critique on that piece, it was just one part with the high brass and low brass split with the tubas and stuff. You know, that was cool, but it could have been just a tad bit cleaner. But that's just a minor critique. But, hey, good perfect. Good perfect. Good perfect. They needed that. They needed that one. They needed that one. Moving on.
Today I'm recording.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Royal Court of the 5th Mr. Alcorn State University.
Oh man, give that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh my gosh, and it went Super Saiyan Blue God in this thing, bruh. Look, man. Oh man, they on tapped in, bruh. They down tapped in. Damn tapped in. They tapped in, bruh. Damn. That is a crazy ass arrangement too, though. That shit's wild. It's like that arrangement brought me joy. That's how crucial that shit was. Now, you want to know what's real diabolical, though? I think they were announcing the homecoming court, right? And they cranking this shit. Oh my gosh, bruh. Yo, that is diabolical, bruh. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. Oh. Well, we got a whole lot more to grade. This is crazy. Okay, Alcorn. Alrighty. Let's get out of grade. Alrighty. Now, what I will say about that piece, I'm going to give them almost a perfect. What I will say about that piece is that it could have been a tad bit tighter. Just a tad bit tighter with the tone. You know, there was some parts in there that were just a tad bit shaky. But I really feel like the tone can be better. Like, the tone quality can be better. You know? It's like, it's there, but it's not there. You know, if that makes sense. So it's just, I got to give them almost a perfect on that one. Not bad. Just needs to work on just the small things on that.
And just a few moments, we'll have that special presentation for you at midfield.
Alrighty, alright. It was not a perfect. It was not a perfect. I heard it sound better when I played it against Alabama State. But let me explain something. Alright, it was a very strong arrangement, but I felt like the attacking in the beginning was just a tad bit off. There was also when it came down to the trombone solos, it could have been a little bit tighter. You know, it was just some parts up in there can just be a tad bit tighter, but they were smashing the majority. Almost a perfect. Almost a perfect, fam. Like, like everything is good. It's just, I just gotta take one away from cleanness. That's just it. It just need to be just a tad bit tighter. But damn, that arrangement gives you chills, bro. Like I got goosebumps off of that shit. Like that shit's crazy. That's crazy. All right, moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd like to direct your attention to midfield.
Feel like they're gonna get real chaotic in a second, so zero quarter consists of this, so be prepared for that. If we don't play it at the same time, I won't play. I know. Not granting either of them because they both playing at the same time.
6 minutes to the presentation of color.
Today I'm gonna make
sound selection is a 5. Powers 10. Articulations 10. Arrangements 10. Cleanness, I'm gonna give them an 8. Felt like there was some parts that could be cleaner. It was some hanging over a lot on that. It was a lot of hanging over on that one. Also, I just felt like there were some parts that can be just a tad bit tighter as far as phrasing is concerned. But I gave them a 43 on that one. I think that's their weakest song of the day. Moving on. Okay, let's get at a grade. Alright, so it definitely had its moments, but it's falling flat on some stuff as far as tone, attacking together, and phrasing. Okay, so definitely falling flat on that one for me. I feel like it could be a little bit better than what it was, but they got 5 on sound selection, power 10, articulation 10, arrangements 10, cleanness is an 8. They got a 43 on that one. Feel like it can be way better than what they presented it. Even in the downbeat was not together, you know, with them coming in. So I just feel like there was some parts that can be a tad bit better in that piece. Moving on. Playing the national anthem.
This is me.
Okay, bring it back. Alright. So, yeah, man. All I gotta say with that one, I gotta give sound selection a 5. Powers 10. Articulations 10. Arrangements 10. The cleanness is an 8. I gotta give him a 43 again. The intro could be way cleaner. There was some parts in there that just was kind of shaky. High brass was missing as well. So that's kind of we get into the weaker portions of the book for zero quarter, I guess. But was not they another one that was not their strongest as well. So it could be way better, way better. Moving on. Come on, Tubas. Come on, Tubas. Can't break this. About things are coming out now. We're not great none of that.
Yeah, one thing of
was an interesting zero quarter. Very interesting zero quarter. Alright? So, who won zero quarter? Let me do some calculation and then I'll give you that answer, okay? In zero quarter, ladies and gentlemen, Southern is up. Current standing, Southern is up, counting by 3 points. 3-point difference in zero quarter. So, without a shadow of doubt, Southern won zero quarter. Okay? Very, very tight. I just felt like there was some things that could be worked on for both, but more so Alcorn in this battle for zero quarter. Okay? Now, this is not a decisive win at all, by all means. This is just current standings. Okay? So, they got halftime footage we got to grade, and we got fifth quarter footage we got to grade. So, I'm grading the combined overall grade. Okay? I'm not just grading one thing and say, hey, that's it. No, I'm grading everything. So, let's get to it. So, we're moving on to halftime. Alright? Now, I would say this. Okay? Southern has been kicking some ass on this field. So, you never know. You never know. I mean, I want Alcorn to surprise me, but I know Southern's been whooping some ass on the field. But I will say this. If Southern capitalize on this, it's going to be really hard for Alcorn to catch up. That's all I got to say. Now, fifth quarter can make a difference, too. It can make a brand. It can break a brand if they do some horrible stuff in fifth. But I'm just being honest with you. How zero quarter looking? Southern's up. All right. So, we in halftime. Look to the cards next to me so you know we'll be grading. We're grading entrance, songs, formations, dances, breakdown of our creativity. Maximum points they can make all together is 25. With their creativity, they can round it up to a possible 30 if they do something unique or death-defying on the field. My expectations. Alright. I'm expecting the entrance to look clean. Nothing looks bad. Songs. I'm expecting the band to sound clean when they are stationary. When the band's marching, I'm not going to dock off on sound. Formations. Formations, I would say, if the symmetry looks off, I would dock off. If they're not marching 8 to 5, if their step-offs are wrong, or if they're not picking their legs up, I would dock them off of that. Okay? Dancers, I'm expecting the stunts and them looking like they know what they're doing on the field, not guessing or anticipating what they're trying to do on the field. Okay? I'm expecting at least 3 breakdown features from both bands. Okay? It's not a requirement for some, but it's a requirement for me. I feel as if you're going to give a real entertaining show, you got to at least have 3 breakdown features. That's just me personally. Alright? So, with that being said, let's get into the action. Southern's first.
Roman, Mississippi, the Duba. This University marching band is led by drum major DeMarcus. The showstopper here, all the way back, without the hat.
He did a crucial. Make sure that 8 to 5 is there. They're looking really clean so far. A lot of bands can't keep this consistent, but they're doing it. Cool little squad push. They're moving some ass right now, fam. Okay, Southern. Shit. We got some small stragglers here on the third row. They're shaking back though. That's good. Ooh, somebody forgot it. Okay, shake back. That was a good drill. That was interesting. That was not bad. They did amount of miss up in the beginning though. Got the energy. Yeah. Okay. They got the energy, fam. That was nice. That was nice. Very, 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 very good field show. Very, very good field show. Wow. You know, that's all I gotta say. Wow. All right. So entrance is a 5. Songs is a 5. Formations a 4. Dancers a 4. Breakdown, I'm gonna give them a 4. Creativity a 5. Okay. They got them a, what's that? 29, 28, 27. So they got them a 27. Yeah, they got them a 27, man. That's a very strong score, a passing score. A passing score. Okay? That's very, 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 very strong for Southern. Very, very, very strong for Southern. And let me give my critique on why. Alright? They can make the grades. Formations, they were pretty much whooping ass that whole field show on that drill. That drill was crucial. Never seen nothing like that, number one. Okay? For them to do a line drill, it might have seemed basic for some, but for that to be a clean drill for what it was, that was very nice and entertaining to see. Another thing to mention as well is that we had a situation where somebody slightly forgot the field show, okay, and it was a minor 8-5 issue in the third row, okay. But besides that, that's why I gave them a 4. But they were just kicking ass, like but the majority was straight lines, so that's good. That's passing. Dancers. In the beginning, I think there was supposed to be some type of ripple, and one of the dancers almost fell, but they played it off by staying stationary down. But I gave them a 4 for that. I don't know if that was a mess up or what, but that's what it looked like to me. It seemed like she almost lost her balance. Okay, so I just took off for that for me personally. So I took a 4 for that. Breakdown, they just needed one more breakdown feature, but they had the energy. They were clean too. So I have nothing to complain with that on that for them. They just needed one more breakdown, and they would have had a 5 for me on that. So they kicked ass, and it was a passing grade for me. So, whew, all right. Now look, I've been watching Alcorn for a while, and they've been struggling on that field. So I'm hoping that they can bring that intensity like Southern did, because Alcorn needs this. They need to get some type of edge over Southern, because, you know, this might be the nail in the coffin. Okay? So, with that being said, let's get into it. Alcorn got to bring that energy. I feel like drum match is going to be way cleaner. Drum match is going to be way cleaner. People skating on the field though, and not really truly getting their legs up. Some 8-5 in the shoes here. Some 8-5 in the shoes here.
Big shout out to our cousins from Baton Louisiana. Let's show you how it's done.
Got end is cricket. Damn. Ooh, that end is cricket.
Back to the show, folks.
Some more 8 to 5 issues here. Some more 8 to 5 issues prior to. There's a lot of them in this one. They did it. They did it. That carried them on that cradle. They created them on the cradle. It's a lot of them, though. It's a lot of them.
Let's go SOD. Take the whistles out.
Person kind of a little behind. My little dude needs some help over there.
Somebody said something about that rule. We got all the bad rules we need. Don't be right. Look, him, mercy. Do the Johnny in the air. Do the Johnny in the air.
get that a grade. Alright, so entrance is a 4. Songs is a 5. Formations, I'm going to give formations a 3. Dancers is a 5. Breakdown a 3. Creativity a 5. Okay. Some hit and misses. Let me get the grade first, and then we'll work from there. Okay. All right. I got a 25 on that. Yeah, I got 25 on that one. Alrighty. 25. Let me explain why. Alright. So, when we look at, we're going to start with the entrance. The entrance can be way cleaner. I noticed that they have 4 drum majors out there, and they used to have a 5th one. So I feel like they kind of threw off their balance and what they was trying to do initially. It did not look as clean as it could have been. It's like they was anticipating. It also could have been way cleaner, you could tell. Alright. Also, when we look at formations, 8 to 5. 8 to 5 was good, right? But then we had step-off issues, number 1. That was big. Step-off issue was real big. And then we had, when they spelled neck, that end was not divine. The end was not divine, and so they kind of hurt them in that field show as far as they drill. Had a good drill. I enjoyed their drill. It's the fact that you had some people skating as well. Some people was not picking their legs up. Alright? And I wouldn't say it was just 1 or 2. It was about 4 or 5 people who were just skating out there, not picking their legs up. Okay? That intensity, when you're not picking your legs up, the intensity of the field show disappears as well. So I want to throw that out there. Y'all marching band, so y'all got to get y'all needs up. Y'all barely was getting them up. It's like a 45, not, not a 90. Okay? So you kind of get what I'm getting at on that. Dancers did phenomenal. They did really, really good. For them to have all them girls out there, yeah, they kicked some ass. Alright? Breakdown. Breakdown, it was cool for what it was. Needed one more breakdown feature for me. They had the energy, but there was lacking the cleanness, if that makes sense. It could have been cleaner. Okay? The creativity, the majority of the creative points came from the girls. Okay? Now, I did give them a creative point for them spelling neck, but, it could have looked a little bit better with that end. But that's my verdict when it comes down to that. Alright? So, was not a passing grade for Alcorn on that. So, current standings. Okay? Southern was up in 0 quarter about 3 points. By halftime, they were up by 2 points. So, now it's a 5-point difference. It's a 5-point difference from halftime. Okay? Now, that's a significant, up lead. Southern is up by 5 points. Okay? Over Alcorn. That's a significant lead. Okay? I would say this as well. That's a tough competitor to go against. Southern is one of those bands that you really got to put that work in to beat them. And, Southern put a lot of work in their craft. So I'm not knocking Alcorn, but I can tell that they have been skating this game. They have. So I'm expecting bigger things in 5th. I'm hoping that they open that vote because they need to do something because Southern's going to capitalize and win. Alright? Vice versa. Southern strokers in 5th quarter. If they struggle in 5th quarter against Alcorn, I'll be surprised and I'll be like, wow, Alcorn beat them. So I don't know what to expect. This is wishful thinking. I wish the best for both bands, but that's what it is. This is where we at to now. Okay? Before we get into 5th quarter, I would like to extend an invitation to my membership program. I'll explain it more in detail on the video above, but you get perks and everything, and you get a chance to watch battles from the past. We talk about from the 90s on up, okay, and exclusive drumline content. So I will say this as well, that will be something I would really want y'all to try to participate in if y'all interested, okay? I'll leave that that link below as well. Okay, it's only $2 a month. All right. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, all you have to do is just hit that thank you tab. That thank you tab, all those proceeds from everything will go into me affording YouTube Premium. Okay. I noticed that you be seeing me edit this video a while, and you see some commercials pop up here and there. With those commercials popping up here and there, that will prevent me from having to worry about that. Okay, so I want to throw that out there. But if I reach 1,000 subscribers, I don't have to worry about that either. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe to your boy. Look, we almost at 800. We speaking into existence. We're gonna get 800 by the end of this week. All right. So really appreciate y'all in the long run, and thank y'all. All right. So let's get into fifth quarter. What are we grading for fifth quarter? Okay, we're grading song selection, power, articulation, arrangement, and overall cleanness. Maximum points they can make all together is 50. All right. So this is what I want y'all to understand as well. If y'all do not like what I'm grading, it's nothing but love here. But don't bash your boy. This is my opinion. I'm not going to rewind the video to catch the things that y'all heard. This is a one clean run through of me watching the video and me using my fair judgment in this battle. There's no favoritism, nothing. Okay? I'm calling it right down the line from what I can hear initially on the first go. Okay? Also, do not get in your feelings because of the outcome. You never know what the outcome is, and I usually give bands their accolades when it comes down to battles. So I say this again, do not get in your feelings about these grades. It's nothing but love here. Okay? This is not me bashing any band organization or anything else. Also, I want to remind y'all too, is that, this is overall grade. This is not me grading by round. Okay? I'm grading overall from the beginning to end. Okay? I do not want to hear y'all comment below because y'all disagreed with me on the outcome of the rounds. I'm not counting rounds. I'm counting how they did per round. Okay? Overall grade. Okay? So I want to remind y'all of that before y'all get in y'all feelings, because if y'all say something otherwise, I'm not going to pay it no attention. And if it's offensive, I'm just going to get rid of it. So just giving y'all fair warning. you know. So with that being said, we're going to get into the action. Let's do it. Southern's first. Ooh. Wow. Takes one egg to spoil the bunch. It takes one egg to spoil the bunch. Alright, so let's give it a grade. Sound selection is 10, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrangements 10, cleanness is an 8. They got a 48 in that one. Also, I heard worse than that, but what I will say is that stuff happens. everybody has something that has happened. Every band, let me rephrase that, has had something embarrassing for each band that has happened to them. I'm not even going to count for Alcorn as well, but that's one. That's one for Southern right there. That's one for Southern right there. But coming in too early is just a thing. It happens, man. It definitely happens. And another reason why I gave them another point deduction on that as well is because their runs can be just a tad bit cleaner. It's there, but it's not there all the way. So it just needs to be sprucing up some more. So they got a 48 on that one. Moving on. All right, Alcorn, capitalize, please. Man, what in the Undertaker mess they got going on? Good way to capitalize. Good job, Alcorn. Good job. Good job. They made that 5-point lead to a 3-point lead. I say this. I said it. I was like, look, man, you're going to have to capitalize on a whole lot to capitalize on winning. You know, you got to do a whole lot. So they got to do a lot of messing up for Alcorn to beat them. So if they continue to do what they just did in that first round, it might be a difference. Wow. That'll be a crucial comeback of the year. On some real shit. All right, moving on. Give that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh man, Southern, ladies and gentlemen. That was a good redemption right there. That was some good redemption. Oh, they needed that. Wow. They needed that. They needed that one. Woo, boy. Okay, Alcorn. Okay, Alcorn. Okay, Alcorn. Woo. Woo. Alcorn. Yo. Yes, Alcorn. They all went Super Saiyan in this thing, fam. Whew. That arrangement was fire. You hear me? That arrangement was fire. Give that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh man, that shit was nice. That shit was nice. That was crucial. That was most definitely crucial. Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. Moving on. Southern. Wow. Wow. That arrangement was wow. Man, they were doing tricks with that thing, bro. Alright. Sound selection is 10, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrangement is 10. If I could rate it higher, I would. Cleanness, I'm going to get cleanness a 9. Almost a perfect. There were some parts in the arrangement when it was thin from the high brass. There was just some parts that were not there fully. Also, there was some other parts in there close to the end. You know, it can be just a tad bit better. But for the majority, that was kicking ass in that arrangement. But almost a perfect. Almost a perfect. Moving on. Alcorn. Yeah. Yeah. That is crucial. That is real crucial. Yeah. They went Super Saiyan Blue God in this thing, bruh. Look, they have not missed at all. They have not missed at all, man. Look. That's good. That's real good. You know? One thing I gotta say about that is that this is the cleanest I ever heard them in fifth quarter, right here. This is their cleanest. And you can tell they've been putting work in that fifth quarter book, more than their zero quarter book. It shows. They've been putting a lot of work in this. A lot of work in this. Whew. Boy. Like we got 2 more rounds left, and that's it. Very impressed with Alcorn. They're putting up a fight. Southern. Look, one bad egg can spoil the bunch, though. Seems like that's the tiller to take in this battle. Another bad egg in the bunch. Another bad egg in the bunch. Damn, Southern. That was a fire-ass arrangement, man. Fire-ass arrangement. Almost a perfect, man. Almost a perfect. I also got to give him a pen. That's something on my hidden list. That when they did not attack, when you try to end the phrase and you still kind of hang over a little bit, you can hear that. And that was a tell of the case in this one. It was so beautiful till they got to that one little part. Damn. Damn, it was good till they got to that one part. That one part threw me for a loop right there, man. Wow. I got them at 49, bruh. This has got to be one of the most crucial comebacks I've ever seen. And at all the years I don't watch band battles, this got to be one of the most crucial comebacks I have seen in a band battle. Alcorn is doing it. Alcorn is doing it. Okay, move hands. Alright, let's get that a grade. I think that was their weakest song of the night, though. Song selections 10, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10, cleanness, I'm going to give them a 9. Almost a perfect. Some phrasing issues on that one, just a little bit, just it's right there. There's some more, that's the word I'm looking for. It could be tighter. It could be tighter on some of the stuff, also with the tone. So it's there, but it's not there. They just need to sprucing up on the small things on that one. Alrighty, we in our last round, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it going. Very impressed with Alcorn, though. Alright, Southern, make it worthwhile. Don't mess it up. So, whew. Sound selection's 10, power's 10, articulation's 10, arranger's 10, cleanest, I'm gonna give them a 9. Almost a perfect. High brass, they were missing a lot in that. So almost a perfect. Good arrangement, very strong arrangement. Definitely was a strong arrangement. I just felt like it could be way better as far as their approach with the song. You know, high brass can be a little bit tighter. You know, a little bit tighter. You know, and I said this early in the video. Just because you can play loud does not mean that it can sound good. Playing loud is not always sounding good. So that was the case for this one, and they kept missing. So it was a consistent thing. You see what I'm saying? So I docked them off on that. Everybody else was smashing but the high brass. And that was the tell or take in this song. Alright? Moving on. Alcorn closes out.
I'm losing weight, not muscle.
Alcorn, man. Alcorn, ladies and gentlemen. That was nice. That was real crucial, fam. That was real crucial, man. I gotta give him that. I gotta give them that, man. That was really good. Really, really good. If I was to give one minor critique, is that tubas, make sure you stay consistent, even if it's a longer song or a longer tuba break. Stay consistent. But besides that, smashing. Straight smashing. Straight smashing. Yeah. I gotta give that to Alcorn, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Wow. That was an entertaining battle. A very entertaining battle. That was fifth quarter. Fifth quarter, I think, was my favorite battle between the series, but both zero quarter and halftime. Fifth quarter was a difference maker. But was it enough for them to win? Let's find out. Okay? Let me do some calculating up here, and then we're going to be done. So, I did my calculating up. It was a tight battle at the end. Man, it really was. Okay? But it was a 1 point difference. Southern won this battle. Okay? By 1 point. Counted 1 point. That is crazy. A crucial comeback for Alcorn, though. I got to give them that. A crucial comeback for Alcorn. Definitely was entertaining. So, Southern won this battle by 1 point. Okay? I got to give it to Southern. Okay? They beat them in zero quarter and they beat them in halftime. That they was up by 5 points. Alcorn, and I'm gonna give accolades what accolades is due. Alcorn was putting it on them boys in fifth. They did. They were putting it on them boys. They made a 5 point lead turn into a 1 point lead. A 1 point lead. You hear me? That's a difference maker. That's a difference maker, man. Wow. You could tell they put their work in that field. So, but yeah, Southern won this battle. But if we want to say who won what, Southern won 0. They won halftime. But Alcorn won fifth quarter. Okay? But we're not grading that overall. We're grading overall. So Southern actually won this battle by 1 point. I don't want to confuse y'all, but Southern won. Okay? But yeah, Alcorn definitely beat them in fifth, though. They got their get back. They were getting smashed on majority of the game, but they got their get back in fifth though. They did. They definitely did. So, but yeah, man, that was a tight battle. Very impressed with Alcorn. Very, very impressed. But Southern definitely held their own. They definitely held their own. I would say this. What helped Southern the most, and I think this is something to think about. Zero quarter was one thing, but halftime made a difference maker. Their halftime was way stronger than Alcorn's. If Alcorn would have capitalized and had at least a decent field show or passing grade, I think this would have went Alcorn's way. Just being 100 with you, But yeah, Southern had a better halftime. If we want to just cut it down the line, they did. So, it was pretty much, what I expected, but not expected at the same time, if that makes sense. I was not expecting a crucial comeback like how Alcorn did. I was like, wow. That was entertaining. Definitely was entertaining. Entertaining battle. I think this is one of the battles of the year for me, okay? As far as, overall battle, this would have to be one of my favorite battles to grade because it could have gone either way. If Alcorn would have done certain things in halftime, it would have gone a certain way. So yes, this gets one of the battles of the year. I gotta give them that. I don't say that often. Haven't really said that much this season, but I got more that I gotta grade. So you gotta stick around. So I was supposed to put this out Friday, but y'all getting it today. So life gets to life. But this Wednesday, be looking out for Alcorn versus Grambling. That's next on the list to grade. So it's up there. And I think after Alcorn versus Grambling is Alcorn versus Jackson. And I say that big battle for last for a reason. So, you kind of get what I'm getting at. But I'm excited. Good battle. Good battle for both bands. Southern won this one. That's my verdict, man. I'm finna get up out of here, man. And like I tell y'all always, deuces.